there's a fantastic talk happening. And specifically, this is for Chris. I know he wanted to be here, so we want to make him jealous for just a second. So what I'd love for all of you to do, if you don't mind, we're going to all say, we're all going to go, ha ha ha, we're going to laugh real loud, and then we're going to turn into applause, just to make the other multi-track room jealous. Sound good? Everybody down for it? Special rate, and go. Sorry, man, I'm going to tell them to shut up. That's the best start. All right, everybody, let's talk about rapid React Native applications. How many of you know a bit about React Native already? Okay, good. My hope is that you're completely comfortable with just how stupid simple this really is by the time we're done, okay? I appreciate everybody finding the correct chamber. It's a little bit difficult because they're not labeled. Fortunately, I was setting up with the wrong one, but this is the correct one, the Chamber of Secrets. I am a chief technology strategist for a company called Infinite Red. You've never heard of Infinite Red. Of course you haven't heard of Infinite Red because, honestly, we do a lot of consulting and we get to hand off like the puppies, and then they get to take those puppies and get all the credit at the end. But chief technology strategist means I get to go play with fun, cool technology and bring it back to the team. You may wonder what I'm looking at. It's of course the Unicorn of Truth, which I'm writing in my GitHub sticker and coupon, right? So, also published author. I love speaking. If you have an engagement you'd like me to speak at, I'm more than happy to go. JavaScript developers, right? How many of you are JavaScript developers? And how many of you are coders? And how many people are on the wrong cruise ship? All right, good. I like that. If you're bad at following directions, raise your hand. Perfect. That was even better, right? So I'm going to keep this at a high level, but I'm going to start this off because I think that it's easy to get tired. But I want to get a motivational kind of talk first because, and I know it's dangerous to do motivational talks for technology, but there's a real need. Like, mobile has been a pain in the ass for such a long time. And the history of it's short enough that everybody in this room knows everything about it. So when mobile development first came out, right, people thought that there's an app for that day. This is what I did. And I did. So this is what I would do. I would get money and I would laugh. Here's some of my coworkers. There's Becky. She's writing a program on mobile. There's Susan, she's on her way to Whole Foods, you can tell.
Whole paycheck.
Exactly. And truth be told, if you're ever bored on the ship, Google people laughing with money. It is very much worth it. So, what web developers used to think I did was way behind, way beyond. Like, oh, well, you're going to compile things, and you have to read Objective-C. You have to do all these things from the 70s, and it's really complicated. But what I actually used to do was sit around all day and wait for the damn things to compile. It's such a pain, and it took forever. So how much does somebody doing that make? So usually I just decided I'm not going to disclose my salary, but here's the average salary for iOS. Here's the average salary for Android, and as we all know, everybody wants both. So if you write both of those, this should be your salary. If it's not, go talk to your boss. But there's a downside to that, right? Anybody who's done enough mobile development knows the pains of mobile development, right? You have to sit there and learning everything all over again in a constant changing world from one API platform to another is not a familiar or friendly place. You usually just end up like this. So the goal here is that we need to find something better, right? We need to figure it out. The promised land. Everybody's been saying mobile development's going to happen one way or another. We're going to just build mobile web apps, and then you'll just go to that. So you're thinking mobile first there, but it's not going to be native. Oh, okay, well, we're going to build native, and then we're going to kind of make that sort of like fabricated around web, so that way we get that sort of reusability. And it's been very, very difficult. I mean, there's been a lot of solutions, and to be honest, most of them suck. What we are is beleaguered by all these pitfalls when all we are doing, the reason we all joined in coding is to write cool stuff, not to be stuck just sitting there, right? So how do we get this freedom again? How do we get there because it's taking way too long? Well, there's lots of tools who promise this. You have PhoneGap, you have Cordova, you have Xamarin, you have RubyMotion, where they can try to give you some way to communicate across all these different platforms with writing a single base of code that's somewhat cohesive, right? And the goal is, if you could get that, then you could keep your sanity and build for all your clients, all the company apps, and every single phone, because there's always that one person at your company with a BlackBerry or Windows phone saying, hey, what about me? So fortunately enough, like I said, I work with Infinite Red, and we are an open source based 100% remote asynchronous company. That kind of actually secretly gave us some weird benefits, right? Since there's no office to go into, and there's going to be lots of talks about remote life, but since there's no office to go into, all the decisions have to be made in a way that we are kind of like exposed to the world. And so we loved open source. We built 2 libraries back in the day for RubyMotion, RedPotion and RMQ. Well, when we built these libraries, we were able to quickly and easily build apps in an insane amount of time. My favorite success story is in New Orleans, there was an event called the Haha Hackathon. Haha Hackathon is like a comedy hack fest. You build throwaway apps, which is every hackathon, let's be honest. And you get to show them, and they had comedians presenting the apps. So terrible idea apps, right? So we came up with quite a few. Some of them are a little more PG rated, so I will hold them off, but it is a fun time. Everybody had drinks, and you had 24 hours to build an app. Well, a couple of buddies and I went in, and we were gonna go ahead and build some things, and we didn't just build one app, we built 4 apps. And we won 1st, 2nd, and 4th place. Thank you, yeah.
Pretty impressive.
It's such a rewarding endeavor. That's when you're gliding, that's when everything works great again. People were struggling to get their first app for the demo. We had 90% of it, and we were working with the comedians. They said, here, if you could do this, this, and this, that would be something I could stand on stage and sell, and sure enough, we could do it fast. We were able to prototype, we were able to iterate, and we did it in 24 hours. As we all know, 48-hour hackathons, that second 24 hours, just arguing happens. That's just the first 24 hours are the only hackathon anyway. So we felt amazing, right? And we were building these tools, and we were super happy and proud of ourselves, but RubyMotion kind of moved on. They were really bad at Android. And we kept, as you can tell, Android's been what? Like, the demand is going up insanely. Even though the money doesn't come in always from Android, you have to support it because it's just part of the law now, right? So we had to figure out a way that we could get back into this, and we decided, looks like React Native. So a lot of people love React. And so if you're a JavaScript developer, you've used React, you're very happy with it. Well, we decided, okay, let's see what they're doing inside of React Native. And I'm in, if you want to talk about the intricacies, like we could do a little Q&A afterward. If you want to talk about exactly how the hell this is native and still JavaScript, we could talk about that until I'm blue in the face. But I'm just going to ask you to accept that postulate to start off here, because you know, to a certain degree, you have to start somewhere. And it's an only hour presentation. So we tried React Native. We said, okay, we see something here. First of all, React Native is supported by a large company, as opposed to RubyMotion, which was a company of 4 people and was closed sourced. This is open source, so we can actually go in there and fix our own bugs. Additionally, ACM Magazine did a write-up on it, talking about how it's an encapsulation boundary around their turn on functional programming. And as we all know, the latest buzzword in every programming language is functional programming, because it takes time and practice to figure out. In JavaScript, is super cool in the fact that you don't have to go ahead and eat the whole elephant right off the bat. You can just slowly figure out a little more functional, a little more functional, a little more functional. And so we liked that because we have a large team and we need them all to be on the same page, depending on who you're going to have on what particular project. So I did a blog post, and it was amazing. Here I am saying, is this fast enough? Saving the file automatically, iOS and Android updating instantaneously. Compile times be damned, this felt great, right? So it felt too great, a little too good to be true. So here's the old way we would go ahead and generate an app. Potion generate a map screen, and then let's call it my map screen. And out on the iOS side would come out a map screen. Fine, that's good, I like that. Now I want to do this in React Native. How do I build a map screen that's going to work on iOS and Android? Okay. So we go to the repository, it's supported by Airbnb. Oh, installation instructions, I'll click there. And then I'll scroll. Oh God, no. No! 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 That's killing my experience. And the thing is, yeah, it's fantastic, it supports all these things again, but who the hell wants to go read the README page every time? So I'm talking about bringing back sort of that feel, that rapid development feel. And I know like academically, there's all these benefits one way or another, but we need to ship, right? As a matter of fact, we're on one, so it works out, but we need to get these bad puns for you all day. So the answer used to be so clear, right? What the hell did we do? There has to be a better way. We can figure this out. It's not the right way anymore. So, quick question. Why the hell is there this problem? Okay? Well, my answer would be that a lot of people don't like JavaScript. It's been around for a long time. People have done JavaScript a long time ago, come back to it, and say, no, I don't want to be here anymore. And it only recently started to evolve. And there's a lot of fractionization along JavaScript that really causes a big problem for us. So how do we solve it? And it's not really an easy answer. But we tried to solve it, and we have our answer, and we love it. And I hope that other people are interested in trying it out, because of course it's going to be open source and free. Right? We make our money by consulting with people who want to build a specific app, but we actually give away quite a lot of code. So we have best practices, we have plugins, we have documentation, right? You're not just getting dropped off into a project like you normally would with two files, one called index.ios.js, one called index.android.js, and hello world. That doesn't help you build an app. So we created this thing called Ignite. This is, it's actually on version 2. So our designers gave us this really awesome screen, and it gave us the ability to see what's going on. So Ignite 2 gives us the sort of components, usage examples. We have a help, like chat room, things like that. And we've gotten an amazing amount of feedback from people and incorporated it in there. We want it to be like Ignite is like a fantastic starter kit for you. So you can just worry about plugins along the way. And the benefit is, it's dog-fooded, right? We are shipping with Android and iOS apps. We don't have to like constantly figure out the same problem over and over again. And yeah, even Windows. So we have a client which wants a desktop Windows app, and we did that for them as well in both UWP and WPF. So if you're a big fan of Windows and you don't want to change your logic, you're writing JavaScript, JavaScript, JavaScript. And it's going to native, native, native. It's a lot simpler than anything. So I wanted to give you a demo today, and to tempt the live demo gods, I'm going to be doing it. I've already tempted them. This is a browser presentation on a cruise ship I'm already forced here, so we'll see exactly how the demo goes. Please forgive me if it doesn't go perfectly. But here's an app my buddy built in Ruby Motion about 4, maybe 5 years ago. It's got over 30,000 downloads. It is a stupid app. I wish I had thought of it. It's ASCII art with different categories and such. And what happens is when you click on ASCII art, it copies it to your clipboard so that you can go into Cruise Chat or whatever else you want to use, paste it, and look like a damn genius. All these fun little icons are amazing, and people use this like crazy. So he's been selling this app for a while, and I've always liked it. And my buddy Mark, he's one of us. So he open sourced his app. It's 100% out there. If you want to make the competitor to his app, you could download the source code, change the name, and upload it to the stores, right? All the source code's available. So I really appreciate that, and of course I'm never going to do that, but I have a quick video showing you a little bit about it. So if internet gods be willing, maybe YouTube will play. But it's basically what I was saying a minute ago. You can scroll around. You can scroll around, click on the different icons. So he's got tons of them here. And if I had more time, I could probably add all the features he has, right? So we'll click on one of them, and then they'll say, hey, would you like to copy this to the clipboard? Of course I would. There's the Cheers one. And then you can go to some other chat somewhere else, and then paste it. And then that person has no idea how you did that, right? Well, I think to myself, it's a little unfair that he's got that. So let's just build his app, right? Let's be that crazy. So yeah, we're gonna do some live coding, right? Yes. And then before we all kind of end up in a fire here, so let's see what we have. All right, I'll start a new project here. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say ignite new textables, okay? Because of the cruise ship, you can see I have textables ready and textables done. We'll probably end up using textables ready just to get started here. So I said ignite new an app. First thing it's doing, it's creating a brand new React Native app, and then it's going to install the boilerplate code so you're not left sadly alone. And it's going to give you options. How many of you have used Rails Composer? Anyone? Okay, Rails Composer is sort of like a similar thing, but for Rails, if you wouldn't happen to. It's a great idea. It's definitely worth stealing. So, this will take a long time, I think, considering the internet. So we will probably just open a new tab, and then I'm going to go to, let's see, textables. So cd textables ready. There we go. Don't have to wait this whole time, because also once this is done installing and downloading and doing all that stuff, it's going to have to additionally ask me a few other questions. So considering the internet, pretend all that stuff's been done, right? And if I take a look at the code here, let's say code dot, load this up. And let's generate that app real fast. So first thing I'm going to show you is ignite generate, right? We can generate a few things. It's a plugin based system, but it comes with a couple of generators built in. We're going to generate a list view because that's what he had. So ignite generate list view. We'll call this textables screen. Okay. Questions. Is it a row or grid? Can everybody see that down there? It's kind of far down to the bottom. I'll probably bring this up and help you out. There you go. Is that a little more visible? So we're going to go with a grid screen because that's what he had. And we'll just do single. We're not going to do section for now. Okay? So I've generated these screens now. If we go over to our code, you can see if I go to the app containers, which is basically a fancy word for screens, there's our textable screen. The code ready to go and a list of them. So let me go ahead and run the app now. And when we load the app, it's just going to basically be the splash screen because I didn't tell that to be the first screen, right? So what I'll do is I'll open up our routes, point it to the correct screen, and start putting the correct data inside. I think I pre-compiled this. Now, you might be like, hey, what's going on now? You said no compiling. Well, the native stuff, whenever you touch that, has to compile. Okay? Whenever you touch JavaScript, it doesn't. So you're set with that. Oh, wow. I'd like for the screen to be a little bit bigger. That's fantastic. Get that down there. Okay. So this is your initial screen that you normally get with a brand new Ignite. Okay? And that's where we kind of started off. Looks nice. But I generated a textable screen, so let's go ahead and change it. So we'll go to navigation, the app navigation. Instead of loading a launch screen, you see how when I said generate a screen, it gave me a new one right here? It's all JavaScript, it's very friendly, it's very comfortable. So let's take that guy, put it here, save. So the cool thing is, if you have more than one monitor or several of them, you can see this a little bit easier, like being able to see them happen immediately. And this is Packager running in the background. This is the magic that's happening, because this native is listening to essentially declarative JavaScript instructions over the bridge. And those declarative JavaScript instructions can come from inside or from an external source. So use some services like Expo will have you live editing, and then everybody's phones will be updating in real time. If I was really crazy, that's what I'd be trying to do on a cruise ship, but I am not that crazy, so I'm just doing it here. But if we were in like just another spot, I could actually have everybody holding their phone, me edit the code, and then you watching it happening on your phone right then and there, which is just compared to where we used to be, right? So we've got a list view, and list view is fantastic to start off. But his app had what, like 2 grids on it, right? 2 rows. So we'll go back to the textable screen, and it's a lot. We break it up a lot like JavaScript and web pages usually are. So let's do textables screen style, and so this is where the styles are. So I'm going to change this to the screen width, divide by 2, and put a little padding on there. Delete this one. Okay, is there a comma there? So I'm going to save that. And then, depending on where this is in the cycle, okay, cool. So now we've got 2 columns, already getting started there. I think I already grabbed the faces here, so let me see if I grab the faces from his website. Yeah. So I grabbed his data off his open source repo, and I put it inside of our fixtures folder, so we've already got a large list of faces. So let's switch out the data that we're using for this. So here's where I have all those cool things. First title, second title, first description. This is just a placeholder that comes with a generated list view. But we don't want placeholder anymore. We want textables equals require fixtures. This is where I'm going to typo something. Right, and then instead of using this, let's just go ahead and grab right off of there. His structure that he put it in is kind of weird, so please forgive the weird array. All right. Oh, we're not going to see anything, I guarantee it. So why don't we see anything? Because I forgot to go to render row and change that to his data. Instead of, he has name and art instead of title and description. Name and art. Right? Okay. Let's go ahead and reload this here. There we go. We're already stealing his app perfectly. This is going fantastic. So I'm going to put a text view at the bottom so we can kind of play with that copy and paste thing, right? Normally that wouldn't be in the real app, but we want something to kind of mess around with. And also, if y'all are into WWE wrestling, they're doing some on the 5th floor right now. I'm a big fan, so I understand if y'all want to go see it. Let's see. So we'll go to the bottom of our screen. Now, how many of you are like comfortable in what you're seeing here. It looks like I've got JavaScript with a bunch of HTML thrown inside, right? And the idea, of course, behind this is like, make up your own tags or use the tags that they have. So I'm going to put a text input down here at the bottom. And I'm going to put a bunch of styles on it, actually. White. Height is going to be 50. What else can we do? Flex grow will be 1. Text align. Center. Okay. Then I need to import, because this isn't globals, right? It's JavaScript. So text input. Let's see what happens here inside of our app. There you go. We got a little text box at the bottom, right? So now we don't really look like a app. So how do you handle styles, right? Just like you would handle it in web. So I have an application style sheet. We go to the application style sheet, and then it has a bunch of sets. But also I broke it into, I stole this from Android, and we all love this. They have like a file just for colors, a file just for images, a file just for metrics. So we're going to go into the colors file, and I've got the plugin, which makes it look absolutely abysmal, because it tries to show me all the different colors. But I'm going to steal the colors, which we basically saw from his open source repo. CDF5EV. Okay, that's one. The background color, so we'll have text be black. And then we're going to have cell background color. We're going to add a color called frost. If anybody can explain why we do these like cool names instead, I always want to know more about it. Okay, so I've added some colors here. We go back to our styles and use those colors. So the row, we're going to use that as frost. And for the fonts, these are going to be text. All right. Okay, let's see how it looks now. Nice. All right, so we're getting close to his app. I think I swapped 2 colors. Like this should have been technically from his app. I put this color here and this color here, but just swap those. It's okay. It doesn't look right, right? So what's the last part of this, right? Well, you got to be able to click on these things, copy the data you want, be able to send it to your friends, right? So how do we do that? It's simple enough. They have like an abstract concept called touchable opacity. And they have a clipboard. Okay, so if I come down here to where I'm rendering the row, I'm going to swap out my view for a touchable opacity. So if I switch it out to touchable opacity, then as I click on things, they're actually kind of dimming out. So the UX and the designer people will like this because the color schemes aren't being violated by weird highlights or anything that's happening. So touchable highlights is kind of cool. But nothing's really happening because I haven't given it what to do when that's clicked. So I'll just tell it on press. And so these brackets, if you're not familiar with JSX, this is just like, hey, leave the HTML stuff, go back to JavaScript here. You know, we've all seen this in a million different languages. You know, PHP is like, oh, hey, leave that here, and then %sign equal and all the other stuff. So it's just the same thing over and over again, reinvented with 20 different ways to write the same stuff, right? And then so we're going to tell it here, we're going to take an anonymous function and say clipboard dot set string. All right. And we're going to tell it to dot art. We're going to store the art off the row data into the clipboard. All right. So if I look here, come back, and I say, all right, let's see which one we have. Hey, look at this guy, haha. I click it, I paste, ta-da! We have haha! 30,000 downloads in 15 minutes, guys. So this dude wrote that over the course of a couple weeks. We did it in a hackathon. Hell, we did it in a presentation. It's fast, it's simple. I don't think I did anything that blew anybody's minds. We didn't get into math or anything complicated. But I tell you what will blow your mind is we kind of just wrote this for Android as well, right? So here's an Android emulator. Here's the exact same source code we're seeing right here, and here I am compiling it for the first time on Android. So all things correct and nothing exploding on the ship or downloading something insane, we should have this ready to release on the Play Store, the App Store, and then, hell, if I had a virtual machine, put it on Windows too. So, come back to this while it's compiling. This looks like it's going to take for a while, maybe? I have no idea which of these depend on network. Oh wait, it's starting to look good. The live's at 99%. Yeah?
For the native compiling, does it, do you have the same issues that like maybe like Cordova has, where say we're building something for the Bluetooth, the Bluetooth light aspects of it, Cordova just doesn't have that piece built yet. Is it the same idea where there's some things in Android that
you can always go down to the net.
Okay.
Always. It's super easy. I have no idea why it looks like this, by the way, right now. I don't know if it's my resolution of this model, if I can like make this thing bigger, if it would actually figure. Oh, there you go. That is the answer on why it does. So, just real quick, Mustache Man, click. So this is a big benefit over Cordova, in my opinion. Oh, I know how to paste in Android. There you go. This guy looks really happy. So we just wrote the app in iOS and Android, and we're done. And if we wanted to do something native and somebody hasn't done it, we don't need Cordova to do anything. We can go down to the metal, but the open source library is insane and exploding. I love open source. I can't find new things to write that people aren't already writing for me. And it kind of pisses me off because I really like to do that. But what's funny is like, you have more likelihood of writing cool things that other people don't even want to get into or touch, or perhaps for a library or company. But the best part is like the fun and interesting things. It's easy. And that's the really great part, because I'm sending declarative instructions. They're going over the wire to native everything. This is an actual fragment, right? If they're an Android developer, these are different views. This is a UI view in iOS. And so the collections, all the parts, they're abstracted to these different pieces. And then if you go over to Xbox, you go over to Apple TV, then they get rendered to those native components as well. So the coolest part about it is you're not actually stuck in that world. Now, of course, something breaks, you have to, it's just like Git, right? You gotta get past the porcelain plumbing, kick the wall in, and figure out exactly what's going on. But those are rare. You're back to just the exceptions rather than the rule. So that, I'm gonna go back to the slides. All right, so I was successful, nothing exploded, right? That's a successful presentation, especially for live demoing. So the idea behind our ecosystem is like, we don't want to go to READMEs anymore. So every time we touch a bit of source code, actually this is probably where I think we really do get to do something, is I get to say ignite add maps. And then it does all that stuff that README was trying to do, and just does it in there. So it's a plug-in system built on top of React Native. So we fell in love with React Native first, and then we fell in love with the idea of like, hey, let's get all the junk out of the way, and let's get you started, right? Rather than saying like, good luck, you have a file. It's like handing somebody index.html and saying, enjoy making your entire functional back-end website with everything working across JavaScript as well. We all need templates to start. I think that's what's given rise to all these fantastic things like Docker setups, and just a company sort of says, this is where we want to start. So if you want to learn more about it, we have, with over 1,000 people joined, the community.infinite.red, where you will find me. You will chat with me. We'll talk about whatever makes you happy. Most of the time, dealing with Ignite questions, or what did Facebook break now, things like that. We write about it constantly, including just general information. So shift.infinite.red is where we're on Medium. So please, we really do value the metrics on these to see how we're doing when we go to presentations. So they send me to these things, and then they kind of look for a bump on these parts. So you're doing me a solid if you kind of check it out just a little bit. Another thing is, if you want to see anything I just did, I got such a high request last time I did this talk that I made a video for it. So here's the video of building the app in 15 minutes. And then somebody wanted to know a bit more, so I did one called adding API in like 8 minutes or whatever I did there. And then it has some debugging tools that I just don't have the time to get into. And you're like, Gant, why do I need debugging tools? You type code, see it happen. Type code, see it happen. What the hell do you want to show us that's also happening? And the advantage is there's all kinds of mechanics that are going on inside of here, and console.log or however you want to get these things. These API responses that are going out, we can see them inside of our logger, see how they responded, whether they were 200, 404, 500, and things like that, and we can inspect all these pieces without actually putting those logs inside of our app. We have a great tool called Reactotron, and I just did a video for that one as well, and I think that you'll pretty much enjoy it. I start off every video very annoyingly, sort of like I did today. I started off with, welcome friends! So turn the audio down as much as you can when you start. You want to see an open source app that was written 100% on Ignite? We didn't have this for the longest time. It drove us insane because clients would be like, we want to see some code. And we're like, everything's proprietary. We can't show you anything except for our libraries. So when we threw a conference, which we didn't know what the hell we were doing, we decided, well, we gotta write our own app. So we did, and it turns out that that's pretty cool because you can actually see what's going on. And I would love for anybody who has a conference or anything you want to actually use all the source code and build the app for other people. This is a great opportunity. It's a fantastic chance to play around with the actual code. If you do something with it, tell me. I need to know, because open source runs off of this oxytocin brotherhood and sisterhood, right? So people will message me and ask me if I want to be in the beta for their apps, and I'm like, yes, absolutely. So messages come in like that, really makes my day. I owe a lot to several people. All these beautiful slides were done by me. All the ugly ones were done by these two designers right here. And additionally, two of the best maintainers for our project are right here, Steve and Kevin. I could reach out to these guys and say, look, I'm on a cruise ship, we've got an issue, can you fix it? And I can expect it to be done. It really helps a lot to have a great team. If you want to know more just about React Native, cool enough, we are the curators of the React Native newsletter. I don't know how we got that gig. That fell in our laps on accident, but it's cool enough. If you want to go ahead and hop in there, you can get an email twice a month with what's come out, what you can do. And so the advantage that you can get with this is, since you know me, if you ever do anything with it, send it to me, I'll make sure it lands in the newsletter, okay? I try to, unless it's just like a picture of you with a drink on a cruise ship, anything else, we'll put it in the newsletter for you. I'm speaking at several conferences here, as you've seen, but I'll be in Poland and I'll be at Connect Tech. If you're near either Atlanta or Poland, please come visit me. And I have to say, I really do appreciate the guys who own Infinite Red. Not too many people would say, okay, go on that cruise ship, just have a good time and give a presentation. They didn't question it for a second. So these are the three owners of Infinite Red. None of them live anywhere near one another. Like I said, we are 100% distributed, so all decisions have to happen through this kind of open and friendly process. And for that, I love them. And, I wanted to add this here, but as you can tell, I didn't finish. I saw that we're on join.in, and so I really think it would be cool, not just for me, this is not just for me, rate everybody on there, and give everybody some pretty good ratings, all of our speakers today, because like Eli said, we're going to be seeing this next year and many other times, and when people look at the ratings of how talks went, I think the first year is really going to help other people motivate and purchase for next year. So we're all here having a good time, and we couldn't do that without them. So I think that's fantastic. And then please, if you follow me, but honestly, following that slide really should have been this. Oh, thank the people. Man, there's a lot of thank yous. Okay, thanks to all the people who contributed to Ignite. Thank you very much to everybody who gives us a GitHub star. As you know, you can pay your rent with GitHub stars. It's the best thing. it's just fantastic. So we like all that as well. But if this next slide is sort of what I was actually leading up to, and I totally forgot. So I think that it's fantastic that we're all here, we're chilling. There's a party happening upstairs, and us nerds are down here like talking about this, and then we're gonna go join them because we have our priorities straight. So I just want to say, let's give a warm welcome and a warm thank you to Eli and everybody with Code. My slides are on slides.com, and if y'all have any questions, I have like 7 minutes or something like that.
You actually started at 3:45, so you got a bit longer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 20 minutes. That's good though.
Crap.
I actually
I gotta slow down.
Yeah. So Chain React, I see that was an event that happened actually earlier this month. Are they going to do another one?
Yes,
Awesome.
100% we'll have another one next year. This one was a resounding success. We really, really loved this kind of, and we got some cross-tweeting with Coder Crews, so we tweeted a little bit with them, they tweeted a little bit with us, and it was really nice. Of course, Portland, so definitely come visit. And we have a speaker from Portland, so you can support his talk when it comes up as well.
Other question I was curious about, I've done some React Web development.
Yes.
I've also done some native Android development. What exactly is React Native do? Like, are we actually, is it compiling everything or basically running it in a web view, or is it actually compiling not to like native?
Perfect question. What happens is just like you're doing on web, there's a virtual DOM, right?
Okay.
And the virtual DOM that everything's getting into is sort of like this super efficient diffing algorithm abstract concept. And then when it goes to each platform, what it can do then is render it down to the native for that particular platform.
Okay.
So there's actually no reason why you couldn't do React Native for web. And that's why some guy at Twitter wrote React Native Web, and his idea was just write React Native, put it on iPhone, Android, you know, everything else, and put it on your website as well. And it was a really cool idea, but it had some hiccups getting started because he just kind of did it as a weekend hack project. So Leland Richardson at Airbnb came along, rewrote it as React Primitives, and made it 40 times faster. And he's like, this isn't coming from React Native, this is React Primitives, and from Primitives you can go to any platform that you want. And he's trying to see this like it's the future of React and React Native, to just come from here and then go wherever you want to. But unfortunately, he did piss off the guy from Twitter, so they talked it out, and now they're both working on the same thing together.
I was really curious because the bridge between native mobile and running these sorts of like, well, basically running web apps on mobile platforms has been access to the device's native functionality, and HTML5 has sort of been kind of bridging that gap a little bit. But
yeah. Well, the greatest part about it is that you don't have to work. So you shouldn't have specific to one platform kind of stuff. Take the concept, put it in an abstract, and then wrap it. And APIs leak, don't get me wrong, right? Every API leaks. You can't make it super perfect, but that's what I want. I don't want it to be super perfect. I want to get 90% of the way there in a short amount of time, and then I want to focus on that last 10%. And then what I do with clients is I front load the problems. So I front load the problem children, and then we start off and we get through a lot of those, and then the client, you know, expects. You know, how many of you have shown like a wireframe to someone, and they're like, "Oh, it's done. That's it. Just give me that. Why does this cost so much money?" And you're like, "It's not done. That's a picture, right? Put another button there, and we're done." So what happens is I front load all the hard parts at 10%. Anything that looks like it's not supported, I'll start jumping into that. This is what we've got to work on. And then sure enough, like they're super happy when they see a little bit, and they're like, it's very abstract, and they're like, okay, the ball's rolling slow. And then we zoom across the finish line, and it just, what? It's done, and it's great, and it works. So you can always get 90% of the way there pretty fast with everything. Yeah.
You said you want to kind of avoid native concepts or like platform-specific things.
Yeah.
How do you handle things like databases, like saving data?
Yeah. So what's great about it is, so here's an interesting thing, and this is kind of like weirding me out. We always did databases before when we were writing native code. Then we got to here, and how many apps really need a database is really small. Like all the chat, all the information in the Carnival Hub app, can you fit it in like 1024K? Probably, all that text. And make it searchable, just load that into RAM. Weirdly enough, and I'm not trying to say that that's the solution for everything, but really cool is that like I stopped just immediately saying now it's time to go ahead and put a database because I mean nothing in the app is really that searchable except for the people, and that could be offloaded to a service that hits from the server, right?
Well, for us, most of the time, when our clients want us to build apps, they want it to be offline as well. So
Yeah, we could do offline with persisting, sort of like Redis style persistence, right? You just have it, it's in memory, and then we have a change, persist that down. So it actually won't kind of keep, like it doesn't need the database structure, it just needs the information. So we have all kinds of offline apps, and they work fantastic, but we use Redux, and then Redux persist. So as soon as you open it, it loads the entire state of the app on things that you want to persist state on, and then it keeps it, and then when you close it down, it loses the state for anything you didn't care about, but persists everything else. So we have an amazing offline experience, by the way, just from doing that. But if you wanted to, there's a wrapper around native called Reason. So it has a SQLite, so it's just like core data and one that Android's SQLite as well. And so if you needed to actually do some kind of checking out and filtering and SQL statements and stuff like that, if you use Reason for React Native, done. And it works fine. Somebody wrapped that and made it easy for everybody else to use. But if you, there's nothing stopping you from going ahead and taking some other library out there and wrapping that. But now you're staying in there, because like if you solve it, as soon as you write native code, you lose a platform that you did not write that native code for. That's it. That's the real monster, and that's why we stay away from it, because I could write everything in one language and everything in another. But if I only have to do it in this one bad spot, right? There's this one place, and we have to fix this one spot. That's okay. I'll write all the Android, and I mean, I'll sit there with Java. I'll somehow remember Objective-C, because I forget it every time I look at it. Like I'm staring at it again, I'm like, why is everything backwards? Right? So I eventually get through the Objective-C, and then we'll have an image picker that needed native on both of those things. Okay, then it's back to JavaScript as usual.
I got another one. For
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
I guess I got two. The first one, how does it handle like permissions?
Yeah. So if you have like let's say I bring in a plugin that's really smart. So like the Maps one, right, has all these steps that you have to do because you have to go on Android, and it'll have it in instructions. And Android say we're getting find locations, and on here we're doing this, and you have to turn on these different parts. Ultimately what's happening is these are native apps, and they have to go out with their native permissions set. But if I type like ignite add maps, and then it knew to go turn on the properties and the flags for those permissions, then I'm set. And honestly, that's where you, so in Android, you have to know the permissions up front. In iOS, it asks for permissions as you actually try to access those particular things. And they both kind of cheat and do the opposite in certain weird places as well. Like you have to say whale ahead of time if you're going to be violating this rule or that one. But it's pretty easy for the most part. And like I said, that README that you were looking at for maps, it has a step in there. It says, in Android, go put this line. And it's like, okay, because the folder structure, let me just show you this. This is beautiful. Here's how it's built, right? JavaScript code, Android native, iOS native. Both of these know to read the package code from here. That's it. So everything gets it from there, and then here's of course Ignite, where we kind of keep all of our fun little plug-in information and stuff. And so nothing beyond this point is anything but JavaScript. This is actually the Android project, just like you can load it in there and write whatever you want, because there's lots of hybrid apps out there. And you can actually take an app that's already written in Android and bring React Native to it.
What editor are you using?
Ah! Someone called me out. All right. I have recently